On patience. 1. The opening of patience. Patience is not merely the act of waiting. It is not the thin discipline of enduring delay at the post office or the numbed stare in a hospital bed while the nurse says soon. Patience is not measured in the tick of clocks, but in the deeper marrow of how a soul holds itself before time. To practice patience is to place oneself in the stream of becoming without the frantic wish to command its flow. It is a way of saying, I will not leave. I will not rush. I will not demand that the world obey my calendar. Instead, I will learn to breathe with what is, and to remain open to what has not yet come. 2. The violence of haste. Impatience is a form of violence. It tears at the fabric of experience, attempting to pry open what is not ready. The impatient lover tries to reap fruit before it is ripened, and ends by tasting bitterness. The impatient patient, sick in body or spirit, rages at a healing that cannot be rushed. Impatience reveals a soul that would rather command than receive, rather conquer than abide. To see this clearly is to know why patience is not weakness. It is the opposite, the strength to resist the demand of haste, the strength to stand without resolution. 3. Patience as the house of grief. Grief teaches patience because grief cannot be hurried. The mourner may wish to leap over sorrow, to wake tomorrow and discover the wound has closed. But grief is slow, and it sets its own tempo. To learn patience here is to learn the humbling fact that the heart has rhythms deeper than thought. Patience becomes the house in which grief may dwell until its work is done. Those who refuse patience will only scatter grief into fragments that return later, sharper, more merciless. 4. Patience as the art of listening. There is a patience of the ear, to listen without preparing a reply, to give the other's words the time to unfold, to wait for meaning rather than seize upon it. Patience in listening is a form of reverence. It says that another voice, another life, deserves the dignity of time. And it teaches something rare, that understanding is slower than language, and comprehension comes only to those who give it room. 5. The body's patience. The body itself is a lesson in patience. Bones mend in weeks, not minutes. Muscles weaken and rebuild slowly. Nerves regrow with the stealth of roots beneath the earth. Pain, when it stays, is a cruel teacher, whispering that patience is not optional. The body cannot be commanded into swiftness. It reveals the truth. Life is not under the dominion of will alone. To live in the body is to live with the humility of waiting. 6. The patience of creation. Every act of creation requires patience. A song demands silence before it becomes melody. A poem must be carried until it finds its own rhythm. The painter who hurries the brush mars the canvas. The thinker who hurries the thought builds only scaffolds. Creation honors those who can remain in uncertainty, who can wait for the form to reveal itself. Patience here is not passive. It is active watchfulness, the attentiveness that waits for the right word, the right stroke, the right note. 7. The false patience of resignation. Patience must be distinguished from resignation. To resign is to collapse inward, to accept without hope. True patience is not surrender to despair, but a holding open of possibility. It is to wait with the conviction that something is still to come, even if one cannot see it. Resignation locks the door and douses the lamp. Patience keeps the door ajar, the lamp burning, the chair empty for the guest who has not yet arrived. 8. Patience and time. Time is not merely what patience occupies, time is what patience reveals. In waiting, time becomes visible. The ordinary hours stretch and show their texture. The world does not unfold all at once, but in increments. The patient soul becomes acquainted with these increments and learns to savor them. This is why patience, though difficult, can ripen into joy. It teaches that even waiting is life and that no moment is wasted if it is born with openness. 9. Patience and justice. Patience is demanded most bitterly where justice is denied. The oppressed are told to be patient, to wait for reforms, to trust in slow processes. This patience is heavy and dangerous, for patience can be weaponized, demanded by those in power as a shield for their delay. Yet, even here, patience can be a force. The patience of a people who continue to resist, who endure with resilience rather than resignation, becomes a power of its own. Patience in the struggle for justice is not passivity, but endurance. It is what keeps the flame alive when change comes too slow. 10. Patience in love. Love without patience is fever. It consumes quickly and leaves ash. Love with patience is enduring. It does not demand the beloved to be perfect or immediate. It gives room for growth, for error, for the slow unfolding of trust. Patience in love is not indifference. It is the deepest form of care, the willingness to remain present through the seasons of another's becoming. 11. Patience as discipline. Patience is not innate. It must be cultivated. Children rage at waiting. Adults learn to mask their rage, but the impatience remains. To grow in patience is a discipline, like strengthening a muscle. It means learning to breathe in frustration without acting from it, to endure delay without dissolving into anger. The discipline of patience shapes character as surely as any moral lesson, because it asks one to yield to what cannot be rushed. 12. The patience of nature. The earth itself is patient. Rivers carve canyons over centuries. Trees stretch roots for decades before reaching full height. Stones weather slowly. Nature does not rush. To live with patience is to align oneself with this greater rhythm. It is to see that human haste is an aberration, and that the deep movements of life are slower than ambition allows. 13. Patience and hope. Patience without hope is brittle. It becomes mere survival. But patience with hope is luminous. It waits not because it must, but because it trusts. Hope anchors patience, giving it strength not to collapse, and patience anchors hope, giving it the endurance not to fade. Together they make possible the strange act of waiting with joy. 14. Patience and wisdom. The wise are patient because they know that truth ripens slowly. A decision made too quickly often blinds itself to unseen consequences. Wisdom waits, not indefinitely, not timidly, but long enough to let reality show its contours. Patience in wisdom is not hesitation. It is the refusal to mistake speed for clarity. 15. The crisis of impatience. Our age is an age of impatience. Machines respond instantly. News cycles churn hourly. Gratification is promised at the click of a button. Patience becomes harder to find, harder to teach, harder to believe in. Yet this very crisis makes patience all the more urgent. Without it, we will devour ourselves in haste, never lingering long enough to know what we are consuming. The cultivation of patience may be the most radical act of resistance against the tyranny of speed. 16. Patience with oneself. To endure others is difficult. To endure oneself is harder still. Self-patience is the art of not condemning the unfinished self. It is to allow one's own growth to take time, to accept that failure, recovery, relapse, renewal are all part of the slow arc of becoming. Without patience with oneself, one becomes a tyrant over one's own soul. With it, one may find gentleness, even in imperfection. 17. Patience and prayer. In prayer, patience becomes surrender to mystery. One speaks into silence and waits. The answer may come in days or decades, or not at all. Prayer without patience is bargaining. Prayer with patience is communion, a willingness to linger in the silence, to trust that the act of waiting itself is holy. 18. Patience in suffering. Suffering bends time, making every moment heavy. Patience here is no small virtue, it is survival. To be patient in suffering is to refuse despair, to carry pain without letting it shatter the soul. It is to say, though this moment is unbearable, I will remain. I will bear witness to myself. Such patience does not romanticize pain, it simply endures, and in enduring, creates the possibility of healing. 19. The mystery of patience. At its deepest, patience is mysterious because it cannot be fully explained by will or reason. Sometimes one endures what seemed impossible. Sometimes one waits when waiting seemed unendurable. Patience arrives like grace, an unexpected capacity to remain when every fiber of the body demands flight. This mystery reveals patience as more than a skill. It is a gift, one that sustains when one's own resources have run dry. 20. The fruit of patience. The fruit of patience is depth. Depth of soul, depth of relationship, depth of understanding. Those who rush skim the surface, those who wait discover the layers. Patience is not glamorous, and it is rarely praised. But it is the condition of wisdom, of love, of justice, of art. It is the secret strength of those who endure, and in the end, it is not wasted time. It is life, lived in its truest rhythm.